Hello, welcome back to my channel, or if you are listening on the podcast on Spotify, Beyond the Veil by Abby Harries. Hello, I hope you are doing well, and I hope that wherever you are watching this video, you're able to gain some insight into how you are going to navigate this spiritual awakening that you may be going through. Going through a spiritual awakening is literally a tower moment. It is literally your life being flipped upside down. Everything that you knew to be true turns out to not be true, and then you decide the version of you that was in that old life no longer fits into this new awareness that you have and this new knowledge and these new experiences. And so you can feel so lost, you can feel so confused, clouded, unsure. And a lot of the times, I had my spiritual awakening 6 years ago. I was 18 years old and I had gone through life floating along until things happened that shook me to my core, hitting rock bottom, and then awakening. And it was the hardest experience of my life because I really had to, first of all, comprehend what this all meant. When I believed my whole life that you are just a human and then you live a life and then you die, and that is it. That is genuinely what I believed. Don't get me wrong, when I was young, I used to have so many spiritual experiences, but as I grew older through my teen years, I was in the matrix. I was completely programmed and brainwashed, and that got me to the point where I genuinely believed that nothing else existed outside of my life. Nothing. So when I awoken, and I realized, hold up a minute, there's actually a whole nother universe out here. We are not alone. There is so much more. We actually, as human beings, have the potential to tap into this. We are infinite. We are actually energy. When I started to have this, I felt this sense of betrayal from the world. I felt like I had been led astray. I felt like I had been naive. I felt like my whole life was a lie. I felt like everything was fake and I didn't know what to do about it. I truly did not know what to do about it because the version of me that had been living this life for 18 years had an identity, had a friendship circle, had a job, they had their life going, and suddenly this new awareness comes in, this spiritual power comes in and seeps into my reality and opens my mind up and shows me things. And suddenly I cannot fit into that life anymore because I am not that version of myself anymore. I didn't even know who I was developing into. I didn't know who I was becoming. And that was a struggle in itself because how can I go one day from believing this boxed in idea about the world in my life to then waking up the next day and having this weight of so many more things, so many more layers of life, and not knowing what to do with that, but knowing that it's something that I had to do. I had to go down this path. Once you awaken, there's no going back. You can try and avoid it. You can try and push it to the side. You can try and fit into your old life. But the discomfort of doing that is greater than the discomfort of diving into what's waiting for you with your spirituality. Now, everyone's spirituality looks different. Okay, everyone's spiritual awakening looks different. And for me, and maybe for a lot of people watching this video, you had to go through hard time after hard time to hit rock bottom, the lowest of lows, to crack you open, to allow spirit to come through, divine intervention, divine protection, to plant the seeds in your mind or the experiences that give you the breakthrough to then rebuild in a different energy. You had to break down enough to rebuild from the ground up so that there was no lingering energy from your previous life coming in, because you're being reborn, you're being rebuilt in a different way to actually get what you want out of life and become who you came here to be. But you can't have both. Something has to give. You can't continue living your old life and being who you used to be because that doesn't fit the soul contract that you signed to experience the life here on earth. So the first thing you need to realize about a spiritual awakening is that we are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. And I know this blew my mind when I first started having these realizations of, oh, we just die and then there's nothing, versus we are multidimensional energetic beings that could literally do a lot of different, there's so much out there, I can't even go into it right now. I genuinely felt like nothing was real. I felt like it took me days to wrap my head around this. It took me days to wrap my head and start to actually believe, because it felt like a dream. It felt like, okay, cut the cameras now. Like, this can't be true. Like, everything, it felt like I couldn't trust my old life anymore, because I was going along and then suddenly I knew in my soul that this was real, but my mind couldn't keep up. My mind was trying to understand it and comprehend, how is this even real? That was what I was saying for days. I can't believe this is real. How is this real? I think that in itself, your perception on your reality starts to kind of fall apart. And so you are searching for some sort of stable ground to understand all of these things that are coming into your awareness and coming into your life. But it's hard to understand them because you've almost lost that identity or that security of who you were, because you're no longer that version of yourself, and you know that you're about to step into something so much bigger and you can feel it. And so I want to go through a few signs that maybe you are having a spiritual awakening and you're not sure. For me personally, it was hitting rock bottom and connecting the dots. And in a lot of my videos, I speak about this, is I was meditating to rewire my nervous system, and through meditation, I tapped into spirit, and I didn't even know that's what I was doing. And from there, it was like a domino effect with everything in my life. And so a few signs that you may be going through a spiritual awakening is you kind of go through that ego death, or that shift in identity of, I can't believe my whole life has been a lie. I can't believe these things are real. I can't believe that we are multidimensional and there are different realms and dimensions and planes of existence that exist, that other beings exist, that psychics are actually tuning into frequency, that we all have this ability, that we're built with a pineal gland, that we have all these things. It's like this identity crisis that happens where the old version of you starts to deconstruct, and you're not sure who you are anymore, and you're not sure what this is all about or why you feel so lost. And instead, I went down the route of being intrigued by spirituality, and I felt like I desired to know more, to gain more knowledge, to know more truth, to figure out what this was all about. I just had that hunger for understanding it and getting another experience and getting another snippet and tuning in and seeing how far I could take this and what would be revealed to me. Because on my spiritual journey, things were revealed to me time and time again. Each meditation that I did, I would get something new. I would piece together things. And so the noise of the world around me that fell apart, of not being able to resonate with the people around you, not being able to have conversations with them anymore, talk to them, spend time with them, because nothing resonated. And it felt like you just weren't mentally there, you weren't energetically there, you weren't spiritually there. You've shifted into a new state of being, and these relationships or these habits or these characteristics start to dissolve. And that makes this process so isolating, is everything from your old life is falling apart. Meanwhile, your new life hasn't been created yet. You're still discovering that. And that can feel lonely, because you realize, and I remember you go through this phase of spiritual ego, I guess, of awakening, and then almost being pissed off or almost being frustrated that people aren't awake. And you can sit there and you can scream it from the rooftops. You can, you can explain the whole thing with evidence to anyone that you want, but some people just aren't meant to get it. Some people just don't get it, and that can be frustrating, and that stems into that spiritual ego. And you understand that everyone is on their own journey. Not everyone can come with you. Some people are not meant to awaken. Everyone has a different soul contract. Your soul contract may consist of, okay, at 18 years old, you're going to go to rock bottom, and that's going to jumpstart this process. And then over the next few years, you're going to delve in and tap and awaken, right? But for some people, that's just not in their journey. And so you can't sit there and be bitter and be frustrated that they're not getting it. Even though the truth is right in front of you, you can't be projecting that onto people, because that's just spiritual ego. And you also go through that phase. That's a real phase where you feel isolated and you just want to tell people the truth, but people are going to see what they're going to see. People will see what they want to see, and if they don't want to see it, they're not going to see it, and you can't force people to see it. But what you can do is you can force yourself to stand in integrity with this path in front of you and the truth that's being revealed to you, because your truth is your truth and nobody can take that from you. That is yours. Because of this, you strip away all of those layers and all of the ego and all that human avatar that kept you as a certain version of yourself. That kind of gets stripped away and you really start to connect in with who you really are. And so I think that isolation process in a spiritual awakening is really key, because in those moments you learn to really be with yourself and validate your experience. Whereas if you were constantly having people around you, you would just get that quick validation from people and you would avoid actually finding that truth within yourself. And so that isolation period often happens where you're forced to be with yourself, you're forced to face yourself, and you're forced to get to a point where you don't need anyone to give you validation or confirm your experiences, because you're so solid in your own energy and your awakening process and what's being revealed to you and your truth, that you don't have anything to prove. You don't have anything to convince. You are just in your power and in your truth, and understanding in the grand scheme of things that you are a soul that lived a life that then chose to awaken for your soul's evolution. And so events had to happen to unravel that. And aspects of yourself had to be taken off. The armor had to be taken off for your true self to emerge. So you could really go through this transformation and have these symptoms kind of pop up. Another thing is you will feel the universe, you will feel your spirit team, you will feel your ancestors, you will feel the divine guidance come through for you on another level. The synchronicities and the messages and experiences that happen in your life are anything but a coincidence. It is something that is so divinely orchestrated. And I remember going through a phase where I felt like I couldn't avoid it. No matter where I went or what I did, I just felt the universe screaming at me, giving me guidance, showing me the uncomfortable path that I had to walk, that I did not want to walk. I did not want to go down that path, but I knew I had to, because what was on the other side was greater than what I could actually imagine. And stripping back the ego and stripping back all these layers of myself that was afraid. And so you'll get to a point where you feel that discomfort of knowing that you're being guided and the synchronicities and signs and your intuition going off. You'll start to feel more connected to that field of intelligence. You will start to be able to tap in and think of someone and then they message you, or get premonitions, or get these random thoughts or ideas come to you that really do happen in the future or really do connect into the puzzle. You will start to feel that greater connection and that you are almost tuning into something that you can't comprehend or make sense of, but it keeps adding up, it keeps unfolding, it keeps clicking. You also have that energetic sensitivity to the world. You know, once upon a time you could go out to a big party and feel energized and have a good time, and now suddenly you feel drained when you're around these energies or these people. Now it's not nothing against these people or situations, it's the fact that you're more sensitive to energies, you're more receptive, you're more tuned in, and so you can feel it now. Before, when you had your armor and layers on, you couldn't feel it, but now you can feel it because you've stripped back layers. And so you may find that it's difficult to do the things that you used to do because it makes you feel a different sort of way. And this is a great sign of growth as well, is you're no longer who you used to be. And I think growth is an amazing thing. It can be so uncomfortable, but ultimately is leading you to something so much greater. So I think a lot of people want to know also, like, why is this happening? Is there a deeper meaning? Why are we on earth? Why do we go through and we're living in a box of labels of who we were told to be and told to do? And suddenly we awaken to this infinite potential within ourselves, and we realize the illusion that society has projected onto us and boxed us in with. And there are so many ways to go about this. As I said, we all have different soul contracts and different purposes. And I think the main thing that this comes from is your soul is always trying to evolve. And, you know, you could go as deep as looking into reincarnation and soul contracts and karma, and you can look into that. your soul craves alignment so bad, and the life that you were in wasn't in alignment, or maybe it was for that period of time, but now as you grow and evolve, you need to step up to the plate. And so your soul is calling you back to yourself. So when your soul wants you to come back to yourself, everything else has to fall apart, because that's what's actually stopping you, because your soul and that spiritual connection and that spiritual awakening and power within yourself has always been there. It's just been concealed. And so your soul is calling you to remove these things, and it's creating the discomfort, and it's showing you the signs, and it's revealing different truths to you. And so when that happens, that's when you experience the spiritual awakening that you do. You hit rock bottom and you have to strip everything back. It is a very vulnerable time. It's a very confusing time, but ultimately happening for you to get you on path, to get you back in alignment. This also happens to put you into your purpose. And again, we all have there's so many different purposes in life, so small, so big. I think a main purpose of life is really living out the human experience as best as possible, and having the most enjoyable time, and being able to learn lessons and maneuver through without being attached to outcomes, people, places, and just enjoy the ride. And so I think there's a purpose in that. There's a purpose in maybe you're here to guide, maybe you're here to help people, maybe you're here to do a certain something, and the old life is not facilitating that. It's not encouraging or supporting that purpose that is more fulfilling than what you've been told to do or be. And it is okay to step away from that. It's okay to start to think outside of your box. It's okay to feel like there's something more for you. It is okay to do that. That's where you really need to look into doing some sort of shadow work to understand where your beliefs came from, where your programs came from, why you believe certain things or you're doing certain things with your life, to strip the power that it has over you away, and to make space for your soul to really emerge and come out, and ultimately put you back into your life force energy, into your flow state, into your purpose. And I think that is the greatest gift of having a spiritual awakening, is destroying what doesn't serve you in your life, in yourself, in your routines, in your program, destroying it completely, and going through the transition period to then rebuild something that is so strong, beautiful, and powerful that you will look back and be so grateful that you went through your spiritual awakening. And another thing is, if we look at the grand scheme of things and the collective consciousness, I think there's a lot of shifts going on on Earth, and really facilitating that transformation on a collective level. And so you're not alone. You'll never be alone. But once you start to own this awakening and this new path, you find that there's a lot more people that resonate with you. When I first started my awakening, no one understood. I felt like I was literally alone, and no one would ever really understand what I was going through and the way that I saw the world and the experiences that I was having. You literally feel like this alien. I always say that, I felt like an alien on Earth. And the moment that I started to own everything, and I started to trust myself and validate myself that this is a legitimate thing that's happening on Earth and within my life, and there's something greater than I can even comprehend happening, and I was having all these out-of-body experiences, psychic experiences, the moment that I started validating that, and I didn't look to someone to say, is this right, or do you think so, and crave their validation, is the moment that the people that actually saw my soul came into my life, and there was no judgment. There was mutual understanding. It's like the soul then started to call in these people, and the universe kind of sent them all in. And so if I didn't go through that lonely period, I wouldn't have gotten there, because I'd constantly be bouncing off other people to tell me what's right, what's wrong. You do play a part in the collective consciousness and the energies that's going on, and you're not alone. There are people that are waiting for you. There are people on the other side of this, okay? And so it's normal to feel lost, isolated, overwhelmed. It's a lot to take in. It is so much. Your whole life is being flipped upside down. And to not rush the process of navigating this awakening, okay? It's going to happen. It's going to unfold as you start to integrate what you're picking up and what's coming through you. When you start to integrate it, you then go to the next level, integrate, and it is a process, so you don't need to rush it. Trust yourself, trust everything that you're going through, be real with yourself, and understand that this is a temporary experience that is happening for your growth, okay? And of course, everyone's is different. And the last thing is seeking a safe community, okay? If there is a community nearby that you can connect with and that you resonate with, I highly recommend bridging in and gaining that support and getting the insights to get the proof in your life that you are not alone, because it can be isolating. I do have a private community called Beyond the Veil, and we are building a fantastic space in there. We are doing meetups, we are doing live events, we are connecting. We just did a live mentoring session and it was the most electric experience. Having the conversations with people that just get it and learning and bouncing off each other, it's honestly so special, and I'm so honored and grateful to be able to hold the space, because at one point in my journey, I felt like there wasn't one person in the world that would understand even a glimpse of what I was going through, and feeling so crazy and insane, but also at the same time knowing that maybe I'm not meant to walk the typical path. Maybe I'm here for something else that the people around me don't understand, and that's fine. That's fine, because look at where we are now. So it's incredible, and I promise you there's a light on the other side. If you do want that support, please join my community. I promise you there is so much in there. It is such a beautiful space and we are only building, and I just love getting on call with everyone and having those discussions, and it's just something that you feel, you know, it's just an energy that you feel that is so real. And yeah, I'm just super proud and honored to be able to create this space, because younger me would be literally so excited right now. So I thought I would pop that in there for those watching this video. Definitely check it out and watch everything in there. There's so much in there. There's guided meditations, there's guest episodes, there's live events, there's everything in there. There's exclusive story times, you know. So I hope to see you in there, especially if you are feeling a little bit lost and confused on this journey. I got you, okay? I got you. This is like my soul family. We're creating a soul family here, and we're all walking this path. We all got it. I am also hosting a 3-week intensive training called The Awakened Soul. So this is 3 weeks of navigating and understanding your spiritual awakening and almost connecting in so that the outside isn't so harsh. You know, the outside isn't so bothering. So if you are wanting that guidance with me on connecting back in with your soul, gaining clarity, understanding how to navigate your spiritual awakening on a deeper level, I highly encourage you join the program The Awakened Soul, because it's just going to be incredible, and I'm so proud to guide the people that may be struggling on their journey, because I promise you there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Who you are becoming is priceless. It is worth every discomfort that you're going through. And so if this is you, sign up to The Awakened Soul, and I will see you in week 1, where we are going to be transforming from the ground up. And yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.